Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to dive into some anxiety solutions, things that are in my toolbox for managing anxiety with some emphasis on the physical anxiety part. If you go back to episode number 4, I talk a lot about my anxiety symptoms, what's happened to me in the past, how it comes up for me, the weird symptoms, because there are so many weird ass symptoms. It's like once you dive into it and start doing the research, you realize that a lot can come up from anxiety. So that's actually the second most downloaded episode. Number 1 would be the first episode, which makes sense. But episode number 4, you might want to go back to that, kind of check in to see if you resonate with anything. But I didn't want to just talk about the symptoms. I really wanted to dive into solutions, and it's taken me a while to get to this episode. There was part of me that really resisted recording this. And interestingly, the first time I did record this episode a couple weeks ago, the first couple minutes blanked out. So I kind of took that as a sign that it wasn't what it could be. And so I'm re-recording it today. And yeah, so part of the reason that I was resisting it is that I don't want this to be advice. So obviously it's not medical advice. Everyone's very, very different. And what will work for me might not work at all for you. However, I have tried a lot of things. I am very exploratory, very curious. I've worked with a lot of different practitioners. And part of the goal of this podcast is to give you your own rabbit hole to go down. I think it's a great introduction to things that could help you. And the things I'll share today have been really helpful to me. And when you have things in your toolbox that you can rely on, that are safe, that are more on the natural side, it's really empowering. So this has been just having things that I can lean into and use reduces the anxiety, right? So that's the beauty of it. So again, not medical advice. I am obviously not a doctor, but there are things I have tried that have definitely worked and continue to work. Now, at the root of it, my belief is that when you have anxiety, there is something in your body, mind, spirit that does not feel safe. Anxiety comes up when you do not feel safe. Whether that is a rational feeling or not, it doesn't really matter. Something is triggered in you that is making you feel unsafe. So that's the real journey, is getting to the root of why you're not feeling safe. And that's not so much what this episode is going to be about. I have done a lot of that deep diving, and I'm continuing to do it. I'm actually really diving into another layer of some of my anxiety, because for the most part, it's very manageable. It doesn't come up very often, sometimes in small little pieces here and there, like small waves. But I do feel like there's still things that are probably from my childhood that are creating dysregulation in my nervous system. And I'll talk a bit more about the nervous system in a bit, because that is really what happens when you have anxiety. Your nervous system is it's not happy. And it's talking real loud. So you have to listen to it. So I want to dive right into it now. So I'm going to start with kind of my most helpful, kind of the things I really like the most. And then I'm going to focus on supplements, but I will talk about a few other things that I've done. So number 1 would be ashwagandha. Not to be confused with ayahuasca, which my friend always thinks I'm saying. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying ashwagandha. So let me just tell you what ashwagandha is. It is a classic Ayurvedic rejuvenation tonic and adaptogenic herb. And Ayurvedic medicine is one of the world's oldest medical systems and remains one of India's traditional healthcare systems. Ayurvedic treatment combines products mainly derived from plants, but also includes animal, metal, and mineral, diet, exercise, and lifestyle. So, leaning into ashwagandha, it is a herb and it is adaptogenic, which means it's really going to benefit your nervous system. And if I was stranded on a desert island, this is my number one supplement that I would want to manage my anxiety. And definitely, if I'm on a desert island, I'm going to be pretty stressed out. But this is my number one go to. And my naturopath suggested this to me. And I started this probably about 4 years ago, and it is my go-to. And you can take a capsule. There's also ashwagandha teas. There's so many different versions of it. There's tonics. I take a capsule, and what I like is that it's flexible. I can take between 1 and 3 a day without any issue, and it works really well for me. So it keeps me calm. It is something that kind of helps you feel more calm for a long period of time. So it works over hours and hours and hours in your system. And it is one of those things that cuts the anxiety down for me significantly. So ashwagandha is my number one supplement recommendation that works really well for me, and it's worth looking into. It's been used for over 5,000 years, and it can be really effective. And number two would be valerian root. And I take valerian root as a tea. So there's a tea out there called Nighty Night, or Nighty Night Extra is the one I like. I'll put all of these products that I use in the show notes because there are specific brands that I really like that, I'm not going to Costco and buying these supplements. If you want to go to Costco and buy your supplements, you just bring those home and then you just literally throw them out because the efficacy of them is not going to be there. So, working with some kind of health practitioner to recommend specific brands is actually part of the journey as well, because there are variations in efficacy. Some of the things you'd find at the drugstore are not great. And even some of the things at the health food store. So you really want to be brand aware. So I'm going to list specific brands that I really like that I've found are effective. So valerian tea is something that I've also been using for about 4 or 5 years, and I usually have in the evening. However, if I'm having a really bad day, I will take it in the day because it also chills me out and it takes that edge off and my nervous system starts to calm down, and I find it just very effective. And the great thing is valerian tea will cost you like $5 or $6 a box. So it's not a huge investment, because I do recognize that a lot of these supplements can really add up, and it becomes, at some point, you have to look at, okay, how much is my budget for my health? What's that health budget? I do personally spend quite a bit on my health budget because it is vital to me just operating properly. It's really important for me. Okay, so we got ashwagandha, we got valerian tea, and then I also want to mention for number 3 is lavender. And I take lavender as a pill. Now you can get, like lavender aromatherapy products and things like that, all great. But there is also lavender pills. Now they are engineered to be biodigestible, so do not just go and eat lavender oil. That's not for consumption, but there are pills that are manufactured to be swallowed and used, internally. They're highly effective for chilling out again. So everything here is basically, the theme is let's chill out. Let's just calm the F down, calm that system down, and really great for taking at night. The only downside, and it doesn't bother me at all, is that it kind of leaves a soapy taste in your mouth because you can it's like kind of eating a bar of lavender soap. But if you're looking for relief, do you really care? I do not. So, and lavender pills. And an interesting fact is during, all those crazy lockdowns when everything was going wild, the health food stores were all sold out of lavender pills and also online. Like finding lavender in a bottle was like finding gold. I remember there was a limit of 1 bottle per customer when they did come into my health food store. And I was so excited. I had almost tears of joy when the woman told me she had a bottle for me. And I think she was like, this woman clearly needs her lavender pills. She let me buy 2 bottles. And I was like, it was the best day ever. I came home, like, felt like I'd won the lottery. You're looking at about $35 a bottle for that. So it's not really cheap, but you can just kind of take it as needed. You don't have to take it all the time. When things are really stressful, I will be really consistent with it, but I love lavender pills so much. The next couple supplements I'm going to talk about, I've only been on for about 6, 7 months. So they're newer. My ashwagandha, valerian, and lavender, those are my that's like my trifecta that works really well for me. And I've been on it for years. So there is a history there that I know it's going to work. These 2 have been kind of more, I've just started using. However, I've been really finding some benefit. And the first one is a Relora blend. So, I guess this is my 4th suggestion. Relora blend. So let me just read what this is. And I'm going to probably screw up the pronunciation of some of this. But Relora is a clinically validated blend of plant extracts from Magnolia officinalis and Philodendron amarans that has been shown to support the body's response to minor temporary stress, which can result in nervous system tension, irritability, fatigue, sadness, and nervous eating. So I've started that a few months ago. I'm finding it's helping. So I do find it helps with that stress. And interestingly, I do find it helps with kind of the sadness. I feel like there's been an uplifting of my mood. And that's important because if you are someone who is sensitive and kind of an empath, sadness can come and hit pretty freaking hard some days because you just feel what's going on in yourself, with others, with the world, all of that. And then the next supplement I've tried recently or last few months is called 5-HTP, which is the intermediate metabolite between the amino acid L-tryptophan and serotonin and extracted from the seed of an African plant. And then I'm not going to pronounce that. Griffonia simplicifolia, something like that. That one's a pretty common, I hear a lot of people taking 5-HTP. So it's basically some kind of amino acid, and it also helps with mood. So helping to feel more I feel more optimistic on it, a little bit more also chilled out. I know for a lot of people, this also helps if you're someone who is that kind of nervous eater or overeats when you're stressed. I tend to be someone who doesn't eat when I'm really stressed, but for those who kind of have that anxious eating, this can apparently be great. So Relora blend and 5-HTP, I've only been using for about 6 months, but I'm feeling a great benefit from it. So I've kind of put that into my repertoire. And again, I've worked with a naturopath to kind of come up with this. And, that trifecta that I talk about, which is the ashwagandha, valerian, and lavender, it took me about 9 months to come up with that. So that kind of protocol. And I'm really big into having a protocol because it feels like that is your toolbox that you can lean into and it's going to work for you. And it's so different for everybody else. But I worked really closely with my practitioner to see what would work. And some of the things that work for others did not at all work for me. That's why you have to be really dedicated to the process, and it is not a quick fix. So, like if you go to a naturopath, that first visit, you're just doing an assessment, even maybe the second one. You're not going to walk out of there with any solutions. It takes time. And I'm just one of those people, because I'm so obsessed with being consistent, I will put the time and the effort into it because the results are so beneficial to me. So to me, it is proven that it is worth it. I'm also usually looking for a more natural solution because they have been around for a long time. And I trust that they're going to be safer to take. They're not always effective though. So for example, rhodiola, that is a very common herb that is used for stress, depression, anxiety, and it works really well for a lot of people. I have a friend, she loves it. It really did nothing for me. And I've tried it for quite a few months, I think at least 3 months, twice in the last 10 years. So I've given it a real shot, but for other people, it's amazing. If you're one of those people that takes the AG1, I know that's a really popular green drink that has a whole bunch of different things in it. I do know that rhodiola is in that. So that can be something that can benefit people through that kind of thing. I personally, what's been very helpful for me when I'm trying to figure out what supplements to take is I avoid blends. Now, I did just talk about the Rolora, which is a blend. That's one of the few blends that I've taken that I've really worked with. I generally avoid blends of things and supplements because for me, I actually do quite often react not great to things that are even natural. So my body's really sensitive, my system's extremely sensitive. I have to be really careful what I take. So for example, like I can't take high doses of turmeric like a lot of people because my kidneys I don't like it and my ears start to burn. I know, super weird, right? But it happens. So I generally avoid blends. I like single ingredient supplements. For me, this is a great strategy and it's been a great approach because I can really see if something's working or if it's not working. If you take a blend of something with 10 things in it, which I did once, I can't remember what it was, something for mood, something for your adrenals. I had 10 things in it. Felt totally weird on it. Didn't feel good at all after just one capsule. Ears were burning, so I think there was turmeric in it. But we don't really know. Like I talked to the naturopath. I was like, well, it could have been any of these things. So yeah, blends don't work for me. I just don't find it effective, but for other people, it can be great. So, this is just how I've approached it. I really like to be strategic. And that is why working with a health practitioner I find helpful, not just because they have knowledge. And ultimately, though, you're going to know what's working for you and you got to go with your intuition as well. But they will give you a strategy and a plan like, okay, you need to be on it for this amount of time. Don't combine it with this or combine it with this. They're very aware and educated on if you're taking any other medications, what can, contradict or what can conflict with it. You want to be strategic and thoughtful about how you're doing it. And if there's any advice I can give, which it's really not about advice on this show, but it's just give yourself time and it has to be a process. And it can be frustrating. Like when rhodiola didn't work for me, I was like annoyed. Holy basil is something else that I don't find works that well for me. I'll drink a holy basil tea, or it's sometimes called tulsi. But for other people, completely life changing. So we're all different. Our systems are different and it is a process and it's an exploration. Okay, so I want to get to another supplement that I use. It's pretty common is magnesium glycinate. And I take this at night. A lot of people take it, and I do find it's great for basically muscle tension and general stress. And so that physical stress that goes on in the body, I find that really helpful. So I take that at night. There's a brand called AOR. They make a great one. It's just a good all-round supplement. So I think anyone can benefit from it. So it's a great one to take. And that brings me to another point is sometimes it's not just one supplement that's a magic bullet. And I know people want that. I know so desperately we want the one thing that changes everything. And sometimes there is one thing that can really help. Like for me, that's the ashwagandha. But it really is in combination with so many other things, one of those being guided meditations. So I do meditate most days, not for a huge amount of time, usually 5 minutes in the morning, and now I'm just doing a 10-minute session in the afternoon. And I know a lot of people struggle with meditation, so I am a big fan of guided meditations, especially if you're starting out. You're not doing less than, or it's not as effective. It's just different, and we need to train our minds to relax. And I found this one meditation that I will say has had a huge, profound, positive effect on my life. And I found it in 2019. This is when I did get really sick with acid reflux, and I was having extreme anxiety that was manifesting physically because I was so physically sick. So I was freaking out because I was having crazy symptoms from the acid reflux. Got to the point where I actually couldn't eat, and one day I couldn't actually get water down. So my body was totally freaking out. I found this meditation. Again, I'll put the link below, and it was through Insight Timer. And I didn't know who this woman was, but the title of the meditation was simply Heal Your Body. And I think I was trying to find specifically a meditation for the physical body. And there are actually not a lot. There's a lot about like reducing anxiety in the mind, but not so much in the physical body. So I found this meditation by someone named Lisa A. Romano. And I'll just kind of give you her top line bio. And it's 30 minutes long, and I was listening to this meditation every day when I was really sick. And I kind of tap into it periodically every now and then when I'm starting to feel like that bubble of anxiety really come up. And it is just so amazing. I love it. And her voice is really great too. So Lisa A. Romano, she is a coach and she works with adult children of alcoholics and narcissistic parents who've been conditioned to distrust themselves and others. She says, we burn with a desire to be our true selves, but we're stuck in loops of subconscious, codependent survival strategies seeking the approval of others who are often empathy impaired. So I didn't know this when I, downloaded and listened to the meditation. She works with a lot of people who have survived narcissistic abuse and gotten through codependent relationships. What's interesting is that anyone who has been affected by a narcissist, and I certainly have been in my life as an empath, the narcissist used to find me like I'm fucking moth to a flame. So I was drained out a lot by narcissistic people. You start to really distrust yourself when you are taken advantage of. And when you do not trust yourself, you start to question everything and you do not trust your body. You do not trust the world. Everything starts to really fall apart. And what does that lead to? That leads to anxiety. At least it has for me. So this meditation really focuses on getting back to your true self, understanding the power of your body. So she talks for 15 minutes about how our body works, and she just kind of talks in a soothing way. And then the last 15 minutes of the meditation are repeating mantras that she says. And it just gets you out of that, like that tailspin, and you just focus on her voice, and there's a little bit of music going on. So I love that meditation. I still use it. I loved it so much, I wrote her a message and she got back to me because I just thought it was, I don't know, I find it a very magical track. So I will share that. And then some of the other things I've done for anxiety management, obviously therapy. That can be an amazing tool. Use it at different points in my life to deal with different things. You have to be willing to look at the root cause and try and get to the root cause. Because even a lot of this stuff that supplements to help manage it, you're just managing it. You're not really healing through it. So, depends on how far you want to go with that and how deep you want to go. But therapy is great. Coaching as well. The difference between coaching and therapy, if you want a kind of quick definition, is therapy helps you go from non-functional to functional, and then coaching helps you go from functional to optimal. And the two actually can work really well together. I have a lot of clients who are doing therapy and coaching at the same time. Coaching, you kind of do spend more time looking at how to, make those goals and set them up and move forward. Therapy, you're looking a little bit more in the past and kind of trying to understand them. But once you kind of put the puzzle pieces together, you do need to be able to move forward. You don't want to stay stuck in just ruminating on what was. You need to move forward. So, and interestingly, when we take steps to move forward and actually take action, so much anxiety dissipates. It's amazing how much anxiety builds up from us just staying stuck. So a coach can just basically help you cattle prod you forward in a way that feels good for you. The other things that have been really helpful for me is really looking at nervous system regulation. And I have a couple of people I want to interview to talk more about nervous system, which is, again, when you're having the anxiety attack, the panic attack, your nervous system is completely wigged out. It is not regulated at all. So how can we get back to it? A lot of that comes from breathing. And I know that I've had multiple guests on this show talk about the importance of breathing and how we forget to do it. I absolutely do forget to breathe. One thing that I do love is something called the breath of joy. You can go on YouTube and find that. And I started doing the breath of joy every morning in 2020 after going to a retreat in San Diego. And one of the coaches there did a kind of a morning kind of exercise wake up routine with the breath of joy. And I felt so amazing after it. I thought, I'm going to keep doing this. And I have done it most mornings for over 4 years now. And it's really simple. And that's just getting more air into your body so that you can actually process things properly. We do forget to breathe. I mean, I keep catching myself as I'm doing these podcast episodes of not breathing. So I still have so much to learn about breathing and, sinking into your body and letting your body do its thing. So those are some of the things that have really helped me. Again, I hope this is a great rabbit hole for you to start exploring. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out if there's something that doesn't make sense. But do remember to be thoughtful and strategic about how you're doing this. Make sure you're getting as much information as possible. Do your research, talk to different practitioners. If you don't like one practitioner, try another one. That's happened to me many times. I've worked with someone once or twice and I'm not feeling it. And ultimately, you do need to go with your intuition. I do remember one appointment I had with my naturopath maybe about 3 years ago, and they recommended some herb. I don't know what it was. And as soon as she said it, I was like something didn't sit right in me. I didn't even know what the thing was, but I was like. And she's like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. I was willing to give it a shot. And so we ordered it from the health food store in the clinic. And it was like a comedy show. I ordered it, it didn't come in. Then they said it came in, it wasn't there. Basically 6 weeks goes by and I don't have this supplement. And it's just like not somehow landing in my hands after ordering it. And the naturopath just said to me in one session, she's like, yeah, clearly you're not meant to have this supplement. So let's just move on. And I was like, okay, moving on. And that's what I love about working with someone else is that they can come up with a plan. Like if this doesn't work, we'll try this, we'll keep going, we'll try this, what does that do? That brings a lot of hope. So it's like someone willing to work with you and try and figure out a solution. So I hope some of these ideas give you pointers or like inspiration for what you can try. And the bottom line is there are so many things out there that can actually help your anxiety. You just have to be willing to explore it and put in a little bit of time and definitely put in some money. I get that. It can be a lot. But look at what the benefit can be. I know for me, coming home each day or going through each day, knowing that there's a few things I can take and do to feel better, I'd say that's pretty priceless. Until next time, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so, so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.